Hey everybody, it's Melissa Jun Rowley reporting for Tech Zulu, live from the Indiegogo Tech Cafe, and I'm with Sonny Vu of MISFIT. How are you?
Great to be here.
How are you enjoying your South by so far?
Oh, it's been a blast. You know, it's always a big party here every year. Yeah.
But so you're in the wearable universe. You guys are doing quite well right now.
Yeah, thank you. No, we've been thinking about wearables for a long time, since 2010, and I kind of feel like everything's kind of caught up now to it.
Mm-hmm. The industry really went from 0 to 80. I mean, it just kind of like sped up so quickly. The last year we're seeing whole wearable conferences, incubators. Is there anything kind of that's catching your eye right now as completely innovative? Nothing that, because you've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, you know, wearables have been around for quite some time, and it's mainly been in industry-specific areas. You know, flight suits for pilots and safety equipment for firefighters or whatnot. But it's really become more consumer and mainstream, really, in just the last few years. And some of these activity trackers have actually been around for 6-7 years now, but it hasn't really caught on that much until, I'd really say, the big trigger for all of this was with mobile internet. You know, mobile internet has really made the wearable experience really interesting, because now you can store the data and share it and whatnot. And now really the challenge is making them really wearable. And that's kind of what we're focused on, things that you would actually want to wear.
So how much with it becoming more mainstream so quickly, how much more do you think it's going to grow in the next 3 to 5 years?
You know, I really think this is the beginning. Like I keep saying that it's like the first inning of a very long game, a very interesting kind of era in computation. You know, we've had, you know, the PCs in the PC era in the 80s and the internet in the 90s, mobile in the last 10 years, tablets and whatnot. And I really think this is like one of the big next eras in computation and kind of clusters of product categories. You know, wearables has been clumped together as this one thing right now because it's in its infancy, but I think it's going to splinter off to be there's going to be fitness wearables, there'll be like safety wearables, there'll be identity wearables, control.
So in separate categories.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's just not, so yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And how many products do you have out right now?
We've released the Shine. That's our first product. Okay. It's an elegant activity monitor that you can wear anywhere. That's what I'm wearing right now. It's on my wrist. I've actually got another one on my clipped onto my shirt here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It must be a lot of fun to beta test I would think.
It's a lot of fun just
wearable.
to make these products. It is pretty cool. It's you know, I mean, we have to take a lot of things into consideration, because being wearable isn't just an ability. Like, yes, you can wear these things. The question often comes down to, you know, do you actually want to wear these products? And that's a big deal. And, you know, wantability and wearability are very different things.
Yeah. So what is I guess some of the biggest, most valuable feedback you've been getting from your customers so far?
Yeah, you know, from our customers, I would say one of the things that they've enjoyed the most about Shine is the fact that you don't have to charge it. So, I mean, and it doesn't seem
huge,
like it doesn't seem like a big deal at first, because you wear it for a week, it's not a big deal. But then we've had people wear the Shine for literally 4 or 5 months without taking it off, and we kind of advise them, you know, you should probably take it off and clean your arms, you know, at some point. But they literally forget to take it off because it's just on there. And for many of these users, for the first time, they have literally like 4 or 5 months of data continuously, and that's really not. We haven't really seen that too much in this space, because many of the products that have been made up till now, you actually have to take it off. You have to take it off to charge them. And so for us, battery life has been a big deal for us, and something we're committed to. And I think that's actually one of the big barriers for this space, is making sure that we have the discipline of power management.
Do you see fitness as the wearable kind of niche that's going to grow the most exponentially in the next couple of years? You
know, it's really just the beginning. It's like the first and lowest hanging fruits in this wearable space. It's something that it's like, we're going to have something on the body, so I know we'll track stuff on the body. That's like the most natural first thing to do. But I actually think, and so I think it'll continue to grow. There will be an explosion of devices, and in, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, actually probably even next year, we'll start to see a conflation of these devices, both in terms of the number of brands and models available, as well as just the category in general, because activity tracking can be done and fitness tracking can be done in a number of ways, smartwatches, apps, and whatnot. But I think in the next, so that's what's going to happen, I think, in the next 2 or 3 years. But I think in the next, like, let's say, like 2 to 5 years, there will be other categories of wearables. And yeah, so.
And I just, we were talking earlier about kind of what you're seeing in wearables here. And you said you know, you're friends with most of the companies here.
Yeah, it's a pretty small world.
You saw each other launch, so there's nothing really that's like brand new to you. But what's the whole wearable ecosystem like? I mean, we've all got like our different sub communities and categories in the tech industry. Is it a very tight knit group? Do you guys collaborate a lot?
We're all either friends or frenemies, and but you know, it's mostly friends, because even in this space, it's so rapidly growing that it doesn't even, like, what does competition actually mean? You know, because there's so much space out there, and people often say it's like, well, it's so saturated, it's a crowded space, and I'm like, crowded? What are you talking about? It's just beginning. I mean, some of these products barely work, you know, and so I think it's incredibly exciting, and there's going to be so many new categories: wearable controls, wearable safety and remote monitoring, wearable identity. I think it's going to be big. I think that is probably one of the bigger use cases. In fact, I think that might even be a bigger use case than fitness tracking. You know, fitness tracking in some ways is really just the beginning.
Yeah. What about kind of more things on the social side, like anything with human rights, violence, things like that? Are you seeing any of that? Those are probably the underdogs, but are you seeing that pop up anywhere?
You know, there are a number of safety-related wearable products, and I think they may have some use in some of those scenarios that you're talking about. I think I saw a campaign a few months back that was identity location-based, and it was actually for some social cause. I can't remember the name of it, but there's definitely interesting use cases coming out there. Social is actually a huge component of the wearable this category. You know, when we added the social component for Shine, we saw our stick rate like double to triple. I mean, it depends on the day, but we just saw that people fundamentally want to connect, and wearables is just one way to facilitate that. Yeah.
This is kind of a loaded question, but I'd love if you could kind of walk me through a little bit how you on the creative side or your team on the creative side, kind of like how you start conception of an idea and then start actually building it, and then before you go to market, what that process. I'm sure it's probably different for each thing that you're designing, but
yeah, absolutely. I mean, for us, when we first looked at the wearable space, one of the first things we noticed was that these products are not actually that wearable. You know, it's kind of a misnomer in a sense. And so we said, okay, so let's solve that. And maybe we don't. And wearability is just like one characteristic of these products. Really, what you're after is not wearability, just wearability per se, but just in a sense, an extreme usability, like a passive usage.
You forget it's there. You forget to wash yourself.
Exactly.
You forget to take it off.
You forget to take it off. I mean, I love hearing stories like that. And so whether it's wearable or it's ambient, I think those are both traits of great technology, great products that can really make technology serve us. And so that we start with, how can we get technology to serve us? Whether they're augmenting our abilities, giving us superpowers, giving us whatever. You know, that's one of the terms we've used. But with wearables in particular, we've thought about, let's start with what you would want to wear first. And so we designed from the outside in. We had our design team work with with the people who were manufacturing the product first, see what can we make, and then we did the electronics and whatnot. And that actually forced us to solve some pretty tough problems. Like, we don't actually have a button on this. We actually had to use the sensor as the button, double as a button. Yeah, you can tap it. And to get it that smooth as well, without having holes, we had to figure out a way to drill holes to let light out but not water in, because this is actually waterproof to 50 meters. It's one of the only products out there where you can swim with it, so swimmers really like it. And so there were a number of these mechanical challenges and whatnot, but a lot of these challenges came from, from basically us dictating what the design should be first, rather than the other way around. Often it's, a lot of these products, I've been saying that they look like they're designed by, they look like they're made by Silicon Valley guys, like me, for Silicon Valley guys, as opposed to the rest of the world for women, and a lot of it was a materials choice as well, like I just think women don't like to wear plastic. I mean, like, when was the last time you bought a plastic necklace. You know, maybe in
third grade. Yeah.
Third grade. All right. You know, so we're not after kids. Not, we wouldn't be marketing to that segment anytime soon. And so so that was a big part of it. It was the materials choice.
Well, and the women too. I mean, gosh, I can't remember the name of the company, but I was at a fashion week event in New York, and they were, for women, they were putting them on, pendants, brooches. I don't think people call them brooches anymore, but just really delicate, like gold rhinestone.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see if that really starts to take off.
Yeah, I think the whole fashion tech space will grow. I think it's tiny and it's kind of weird sounding right now, but I'm pretty sure in about 2 or 3 years, it's going to be commonplace. There's going to be I was just at Magic last 2 weeks ago, the big fashion trade show in Vegas. It's like, it's giant, and there were like 4 or 5 companies. I'm pretty sure next year there's going to be about 20, and the year after that there's going to be about 100.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think when we start, after some more time goes by, and we start seeing the positive health results that people are getting from wearing the products. I mean, when I had this device on, it was just to check your posture. Mm-hmm. And I noticed, like, wow, that's really bad. If I keep doing that in 20 years, I'm not going to be able to stand up straight. So, I mean, those are things that, as you...
It's the real benefits. I mean, that we're trying to, like for Shine, what we're trying to do is to inspire people to be healthier, not just tell you how many steps you took. I mean, that's not sufficient. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like, oh, great, I took 6,700 steps. What does that mean?
Yeah. And speaking of design, and backtracking a little bit, but you were talking about the design, Silicon Valley design for Silicon Valley guys. The whole design element, the fact that you think of that first reminds me a lot of Apple. And you've got an interesting connection there with when you first started.
Yeah, absolutely. One of our co-founders is John Scully, former CEO of Apple and of Pepsi. He's just been a great mentor to us. But the fact that you're alluding to is our name, MISFIT, because we were actually founded on October 5th, 2011, which just happens to be the day that Steve Jobs died. And so the name is in honor of the spirit of unconventionality, of doing things a little differently. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to do that when it comes to making wearable products, like a wearable product, because you can't think in terms of just engineering to start with. I think you really need to think in terms of just wearability first.
Right. When there's really nothing conventional about wearables.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of setting the conventions now. Exactly. It's all pretty new. Yeah. It's literally the first inning of a game. I mean, it's 2014 now. We're going to be talking about wearables until 2020 easily. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait.
All right. Well, that's a good note to end on. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll catch up in a little bit. Okay.
Awesome.